How many boys grew up playing with Meccano and then went on to become engineers? Well, I just wonder. Makes you think, doesn't it? From model engineering to engineering on a grand scale, which brings me to one of my favourite films that I've had the pleasure in making on Flog-it. It was in Cheshire, and you could say it was life-size Meccano. About 150 years ago, this whole area pulsed with the heartbeat of the Industrial Revolution, which was pounding away at full throttle. The coal, the clay and the salt industries were the lifeblood of the societies which lived around here, sculpting the landscape and driving the country into an era full of promise. The canals of northern England became an important method of transporting goods. Travelling by boat was quick and easy compared with the older methods such as horse and cart, and there was less chance of pottery getting damaged during the trip. But sometimes the lie of the land wasn't always the way the canal builders wanted it to be. For example, the Trent and Mersey Canal is 50 feet higher than the River Weaver. So, how did those ingenious Victorian canal builders solve the problem of getting one boat from one level to another? Simple. They just built a huge lift. The Anderton Boat Lift has been described as the cathedral of the canals. It was the world's first boat lift. Originally built in 1875, it would transport 150 boats a day, going up and down every 3 minutes. With the advent of the railway systems and a decline in industry in the 20th century, the boat lift became primarily a tourist attraction. But even that wasn't enough to keep it open, and sadly, in 1983, it was closed down. What followed is one of the most remarkable restoration projects British Waterways has ever seen. And I'm meeting up with lift manager Andy Whitehouse to learn a bit more. What sort of condition was it in when it was first shut down?
The lift itself was in very poor condition. British Waterways had to come along and close it immediately because it was in disrepair, basically. It needed a lot of money spending on it. It had, not a lot of maintenance work done over a number of years, and it was basically deemed as unsafe in some respects, so it was closed down immediately.
It's a monstrous thing, isn't it?
Fantastic,
It really
isn't it?
is.
So it stands out.
How much money did it cost to restore?
In total, it was around about £7 million. There was a number of bodies, British Waterways, Heritage Lottery and the local community. They put a tremendous effort in.
Well, I can't wait to see how this works.
Yeah.
How long will the whole operation take from start to finish?
Right, well, where we're at the moment, we're at the first stage. We're now in the aqueduct. Right. This is almost like the first stage of the lift itself. We're waiting at the moment now for the gates to be lifted up to allow us to sail into the tanks. As soon as we sail in the tanks, the gates will close behind us and then we'll have a slow journey down to the lower level.
Well, Andy, we're now embraced by great lumps of steel in the hub of this lift. What happens next?
Right, we're actually in the lift now.
Yeah.
What's happening now? The guy at the top is, at the moment, he's emptying the interspace so that it separates this tank from the rest of the lift. Okay. And then we'll go into the lower sequence. And what will happen then is the case on the other side will counterbalance it and bring the other one back up.
Right, I see.
So we're actually lower down to the
One
bottom
goes
area.
down, one comes up.
Correct, yeah.
Well, we're on the move, I can feel it.
Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? We're just now ebbing our way down to the lower level. Actually, we're not now part of either the river or the canal. Because we've separated this tank from the canal, we're now no longer part of either.
We're in no man's land.
We're in no man's land now. As soon as we hit the bottom, the gates are open, we become part of the river then.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to sail out into the river and off to whichever direction we want to go.
Yeah. These vessels carried a lot of cargo, whether it was salt, china, clay, whatever. Were they allowed to travel through here and on the lift with a full load?
It doesn't really matter how much weight is in your boat. I mean, the tanks themselves, they hold 250 tonnes of water. So you've got the Archimedes theory of water displacement, so you could stick as much weight as you want there as well. Okay. It will just displace its own weight in water and take you down through the lift. The caisson is just past us, so that's on its way up. That'll be taking those boaters up to the top level there. We're just making our way down to the lower area now. What we'll do, we'll suddenly go into a creep speed to actually park this tank down onto the lower river. So the gates can then lift up and we can sail out and get on with our journey.
A nice smooth passage. It really does sum up the Industrial Revolution, doesn't it? In all its sort of grinding and jangling glory.
Fantastic.
It's magnificent, it's glorious.
Right, well, we're part of the river now. The gates are up, they're all locked in position, so we can now sail out into the river, and off we go.
We're going to get a bit wet.
We get a bit wet as well.
Isn't that fantastic?
You can see the lift itself now, you just sort of leave the lift with the caissons.
What a superstructure. The Anderton Boat Lift is a unique part of our heritage, and it's so easy to see why they nicknamed that the Cathedral of the Canals. It's a symbol of Victorian ingenuity, and it also shows us that when enough people get together with the willpower to restore an ancient monument, the sky really is the limit.